morning. So I'm heading off today from Pittsburgh, hopefully going to Chicago. We'll have to see, more on that in a moment. I'm just about to check out my Airbnb, which is very nice. Just a curiosity here to share with you. This is really, these are the excess pillows. You always like put 20 pillows in these beds, don't we? This is a curiosity of North American homes, I've noticed, certainly, yeah, Canada and USA, which is the ventilation system, which is, does a great job in the sense that it's sort of cooling or heating or whatever else. I don't know if it's actually a full air conditioning or what in that. I don't know if it filters the air, but yeah. So, and this actually has, it's off right now, but it has pumping out a lot of the time. This particular one's, the mechanism on it broken and it won't close. Last night when I was trying to sleep, wherever the other end of this is, there were people in another room somewhere and they were talking and talking, and it was like 3 a.m. And in fact, I wasn't even sure if it was people talking or if it was someone on a Skype connection or if someone was watching a television program or so, I don't know. Because it was just a little bit too muffled, but I'm lying in bed and that's all I could hear was like coming through there, like from a completely different room in the house from what I could tell. I don't even think it was upstairs. Well, I'm upstairs now. I don't think it was an adjacent room. It just seemed to be funneling noise from one room in a completely different part of the house to this room, or maybe every room, sort of broadcasting it. Which is an interesting sort of impromptu thing. It's like a broadcast system, like a muffled broadcast system. But yeah, so that was a little odd, but thankfully I do have earplugs, so I did get a good night's sleep in the end once I figured out what was happening. It was like, where's all this talking come from? It was really weird, sort of waking up at like, it must have been about 3:30 in the morning, like, who's talking? What is this? And I quickly traced the source to that ventilation vent. So I'm Neil Benyon. I'm on a train adventure across the USA, stopping at various random-ish places. I started in New York, and I'm currently in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I'm up here again. I can't help it. I can't walk past without coming here. I was just talking to someone who lives here and was saying, like, yeah, she lives here and she's here all the time and it never gets old, even if you live here. So cool. I'm not the only person who thought it'd be a good idea to come up here, though.
So PittCon, it's one of the world's largest trade shows for laboratory scientists. Our mascot is Dr. Pete Con. Our trade show is actually called PittCon. So we are here to shoot a short video. All the money that we raise from our trade show actually goes back into science outreach. Scholarships, grants, equipment for everywhere from elementary up through post-education. So we have a video we're putting together that basically thanks everybody who comes to our trade show for helping us further our mission. So we're here to do a little shot that says thank you in front of our headquarters city, Pittsburgh, PA.
So that's where I'm trying to get to. It's actually the confluence of 3 rivers. Gosh, I'm so glad I'm pushing around like 18, 20 kilos or whatever of penance. I'm in good shape. This is ridiculous. I mean, yeah, I could just use a rideshare app, but first of all, I'm using the train. It feels kind of cheating to then go, right, well, I'm gonna use the train, then join all the train butts up with cars, big cars, ideally. Secondly, the cost of that mounts up really quickly. You can easily spend $100 a day just on ride shares. You know, couch to 5K. This should do. Couch to pushing suitcase up a hill.
I know. Remember, we were up here forever. Yeah.
They have to head over there at some point. That's the confluence of 3 rivers. or rather, two rivers join to make one river, which is the Ohio, and then the Ohio later on becomes the Mississippi, joins, I guess, with other rivers and becomes the Mississippi. So yeah, that's what that is. Okay, so this is where things get a little bit messy when you're not in a car, because here I am on the sidewalk and I'm actually at the bus stop, but it's the bus stop going in the other direction, and I'd like to be on the other side of the road, but there kind of isn't another side of the road. So yeah, I'm just kind of walking. I'm going to walk and see how it works out. Let's see. I actually don't know what I'm going on about here. There's quite clearly another bus stop right there, but I didn't spot that at the time for some reason. Will there still be a sidewalk in about 100 yards? I've no idea. It's getting more and more overgrown and less likely, but I'm going to forge on. There's a special secret passageway for pedestrians. So I wasn't really sure where I was going. I just thought I'll just head this way, and it turns out I'm heading over this bridge. It was never the plan. I did look at a map at one point, and it was like, well, you know, you end up down at sort of base level, and then there's some kind of, I'm not sure if it's some kind of metro system like tramway or something. But this clearly isn't going there, and I don't know how you would get there, and well, I've sort of bought into this now, haven't I? So I guess that's what I'm doing. I'm going to go over one of Pittsburgh's famous bridges. So there's a lot more cyclists going this way than pedestrians. Answers on a postcard or email or tweet even. It's a bit harsh. You did make me look. Wow. I've crossed the river. I mean, I know I didn't swim, it's not that momentous, but hooray! You know, when they were building this, it was probably like two architects or whatever designing it, going like, oh, do we have to bother with a sidewalk? Oh, can't be bothered with, who uses sidewalks? So finally away from that madness and down into this really rather pleasant park. What this is the Fort Pitt Museum. So this is the location of Fort Pitt, which was apparently is of strategic importance because it's on the confluence of these two rivers that sort of conjoin to become the Ohio, and it was therefore strategically important during the French and Indian War and also the American Revolution. And it's also an important part of, I think it's considered to be the sort of the birthplace of Pittsburgh itself. The French and Indian War did baffle me briefly because, well, someone mentioned it in passing the other day. I was thinking, what's that got to do with the USA? France is fighting India, and that's relevant to how? Like, I didn't know that people still said Indian meaning Native American, because the French and Indian War was actually, and I had to do some quick research to find this out, it was between the British Empire and the French, so it was these sort of two lots of colonies, both sides being bolstered by various different people of Native American tribes, and hence the French and Indian War. Although, why is it the French and Indian? Why is it not the French and Indian and British War, or French and British and Indian War? Hi, I'm the voice of Over, and I'm older and wiser than that me. And I can tell you it's because it's the name given by British colonists at the time to the conflict. And US American historians tend to go with this historic name. It's a pretty nice part of town. I don't know if I'm going to go into the museum, but I'm certainly going to have a wander around this area around where the rivers join. I walked across there. Why did I do that? So the plan actually wasn't to push my suitcase around all day like I'm on some incredibly circuitous route to the airport. I've actually had that. I've had a couple of people saying, you go to the airport, like jokingly. No, I was meant to go to the train station and drop it off. It's just that this getting to the train station bit is, well, it's just not happened, has it yet? So here we go. It actually looks like almost like an infinity pool from here, and then it looks like that man's bathing, but he isn't. And that behind it, that's the Pittsburgh Steelers Stadium, the Acrisure Stadium, and you can see the Carnegie Science Center there on the left, under that sort of peculiar orchid-like protuberance. That's a word, isn't it? Something, sticky up thing. Yeah, it's really nice. Come to Pittsburgh. I mean, really, come to Pittsburgh. It's nice. It's sort of, I think it's because its reputation in the US is of being like this Rust Belt town, and it's all associated with steel. I think people don't think it's all that. They probably have fixed opinions about it. I'm now guessing at the perception of people, and I don't really know what those perceptions are, but I'm picking up that vibe generally. But I really like this city. I wonder, this luggage, which is currently going with me everywhere, I wish I had like an odometer on it, like you have in a car and it measures all the miles on the vehicle. I'm pushing it around a lot. It's standing up pretty well, given that it's actually damaged on the underside through the baggage handling at the airport. It arrived back with a kind of cracked underside, whatever, this outer shell. So that's the Allegheny River. That is the Monongahela River, maybe butchering those names. And that is the Ohio. It's also the start of the Great Allegheny Passage, which is a hiking and cycling trail that goes all the way to Washington, D.C. And this rather splendid water feature behind me, a little bit reminiscent of the Jet d'eau in Geneva. More of our little invasive friends. One thing that has to be said though is it is quite a noisy city, at least on this side of the city, and here, and also I noticed on Mount Washington as well, because you have sort of seemingly perpetually freight trains coming through. Okay, so the time's come for me to book my onward journey, but there's been a bit of a strange turn of events because there was a threatened rail strike on some of the freight railroads of the USA. See, the thing is this, outside of what they call the Northeast Corridor, so basically in all the rest of the USA, the vast majority of the railroads are owned, operated by, run by freight companies. So that means that Amtrak is wholly reliant on that infrastructure working properly, so that when people outside of the organisation are on strike, it can affect the running of Amtrak trains. So there was the threat of strike action. Then Amtrak were like, okay, well we can't run our long distance trains then. So they basically were looking at cancelling a whole load of trains. Since then, it seems like strike action is not going to go ahead now, but cancellations may still be in place, because you can't just suddenly go, right, we're not going to do it, and oh no, we are now. Obviously these things take time to come into effect, and it's not so easy just to cancel a cancellation. So that's the situation. I'm going to try and book a ticket now, and I'll show you the process involved in doing that. As you may recall, I've actually bought a ticket which is the USA Rail Pass, and what it allows you to do is 10 segments in 30 days. So a segment is any a single direct journey. So if you wanted to go from A to B, but it meant going via, you have to change once, well, that'd be 2 segments. That'd be 2 segments. So you can do 10 segments in 30 days. So I'm going to go ahead using that ticket now and book the next segment. As you can see, we've got this USA Rail Pass, 10 segments, 30 days. When you go to the train station, they often ask you for that reservation number, which I've blurred out here. If you go on book travel, and if you can see in this top left hand corner, it says 8 segments remaining. Now I'm going to do, and it also gives you the valid 2 date of October the 11th. I think I'll exhaust it all before then, but let's see. So you can see some of the stations I've been looking at here. So there we are, Union Station, Chicago. There we go, today's date is the 15th of September, and you just don't put the other date in. And you can see here as well the previous segments, by the way, that I've taken. Anyway, I'm going to hit find trains and let's see what comes up. So at least one portion of your trip is unavailable, try a different date. It might be that there's just nothing left today. Let's jump a week ahead. So there we are, there is one there. And as you can see, that's an overnight train, would leave here at 11:59. Click confirm. I don't think I'm going to take that one, I might have to cancel it. So then it comes up here, so I'm travelling on September the 20th. And yeah, no, I'm not going to do that, I'm going to cancel that. Yes, cancel my trip. You can cancel your trip at any time before the departure time. So there, I've cancelled it, and it's back up to 8 segments remaining. And it's generated a bunch of emails, whatever. Let's have a look. Let's actually just see if we can book a train through this route in. And if we go from, so we'll do it again, Pittsburgh, Chicago. So supposedly there is one running today, and it says coach from $142. Let's click on that. So this is the problem, I think. I think all of the seats have gone, because we've got here flexible coach seats. One of the bounds of this ticket is it's only coach class, that's all you can get. But one of the other ones is that you can't, you can only choose like the value or the saver or whatever tickets. You can't get the flexi tickets. So I can't get that ticket. So I can't travel on this train today, or I can, but I'd have to buy the ticket separately. And I'd rather use this pass it up first before I do that. So there's a good chance I'll change my plans, in fact. So here I am again, downtown Pittsburgh. Again. Plot twist, that isn't the train station, it's the old train station, and now it's like apartments apparently. I went in there, someone opened the door for me and asked me if I'd like to check in. I was like, yeah, I think you're checking for the train. No. So I have to go back to that crummy place that I was when I came in a couple of nights ago. It really is this crummy little place, unfortunately.
You're all set there. Pick your bag up in Chicago.
Brilliant. Thanks so much.
You're welcome.
Well, after all that, and after me slacking off Amtrak's choice of building, they were so helpful there, really cool. And that guy who I was just checking my bag in with, and I did have permission to film him, just so you know. Yeah, he was great, really friendly guy, and chatting about his time playing soccer in Europe, and been in Budapest recently and all this. So yeah, basically what we had to do in the end was that USA Rail Pass, there was no ticket all the way through to Chicago. So instead, and it would be the same the next night, and you know, he was saying, yeah, you'll have to wait a while. So what he did instead was he said, oh look, you book through to Toledo, Ohio, which is on the way, on your rail pass, and then just pay from Toledo to Chicago. So that's what I've done. So I'm getting on that train tonight, and I will be heading out to Chicago, essentially. Yeah, and that was me checking my luggage in. It's all done. I can go out now, have a couple of drinks somewhere, or a couple of non-alcoholic beers like last night, and then jump on that train, and then have the pleasure of sitting in one of those coach seats, heavily reclined, heavily sedated, but and sit in one of those coach seats and then try and get some sleep. So it seemed like the best option, to be honest, because you know the cost of accommodation is so prohibitive that it would have had to been really expensive for it not to make sense, essentially. So it cost an extra $84. The segment from Toledo to Chicago was an extra $84 on top of the segment of the USA Rail Pass. Yeah, I mean, not ideal, but hey, we'll do it. I mean, if I'd stayed here for another night, it would probably cost me at least that just in accommodation. So, yeah. Can I get one of these beef empanadas, please? Pittsburgh, so long. It's been great, it really has. What a city. I feel like I barely scratched the surface, and slightly saddened by the fact that I didn't really get to spend the time I'd have liked to have spent today going and seeing things like the Andy Warhol Museum or whatever else, and instead it was spent largely faffing around on my computer and trying to work out my ongoing transport because of this whatever situations. Oh, hello. And I really like this city, and I heartily recommend you visit it. Anyway, on to the next place. So if you're enjoying all this, all my rambling, then like and subscribe, support the channel, and click on that bell, and then you'll get the notifications when I bring a new video out. Yeah.